So we want to firstly pay respects to the traditional custodians of the land, the Kulin Nation, Wurundjeri people, and their elders past, present, and emerging, especially emerging leaders who are involved in strategies about the project. So we're going to touch on all the sort of sustainability aspects of the project in a lot of different ways. A lot of it's about cultural and adaptive reuse and systems, so we'll go through each of those. The project itself is a complete regeneration of the student activity at Melbourne University. It moves from the centre to the urban side along Grattan and Swansea Street. And the idea of this was to connect students more with each other, more with the fabric of the city as sort of a social idea about opening up the university and student life to the to public transport and also to the fabric beyond. As I said, there's a whole diverse range of people who worked on this, mainly with the expertise in the heritage, student children and performance spaces and landscape. So we all worked on the whole master plan and product together. And I won't go through all the buildings, there's 6 different buildings. But the main point of this diagram is to say it's completely student-centred precincts. It's not faculty-driven, that's actually really important in universities. It's not economics-driven. It's for student experience only and student services. So a whole load of student aspects of life all centred within this one precinct connected out to Swansea and Gateway. We had to deal with a very steep site, so we've got universal access throughout the whole site to an 8-minute drop. We also interested in the ideas of original ground, the original green line needs to run through this site. The removal of this plaza was a big brave move by the university. It actually raised above the original ground and hid planting things from the 60s. And the removal of that, you can see there, created a whole new ground plane that's never there before, actually. It was always below ground. So that created a whole new street interface below the ground for us to deal with. And really what we've got at the end is sort of a whole precinct-led adaptive reuse and transformation. So the buildings, there's 2 new buildings at the top, 6 Green Star buildings, the Arts and Cultural Student Pavilion, 2 refurbishments of modernist buildings and readaptations, 2 really heritage readaptations. Murray indigenous and followed in the next 3 or 4 years along the metro train line to the south. The whole precinct was landscape-led, and we don't mean that in a really loose sense. It was actually ground in every aspect, through buildings, around buildings, and through the indigenous terrain. It was all led from the point of landscape first, and student experience, connection to nature first. 3 new gateways were created within the precinct for the new metro in the future, tram stop, and obviously the North Lyons Road. And we sort of designed it acoustically to get a very active precinct, but respite for students to get passive precinct down the south. And all of these sort of moves in the precinct, taking away fabric and adding fabric, we're about to get these clear wayfinding connections through the site, as well as sort of these big serendipitous connections through the central amphitheatre itself. The indigenous-led process by Green Student G for Greenaway was extensive and involved every indigenous student and staff at the university through research, to embed physical properties of indigenous knowledge into the precinct. For instance, through the border story and what's called the welcome terrain that actually integrates through the precinct into new ground. And also smaller art projects like the Identity Bricks project, which embeds knowledge and memory into the fabric of the buildings themselves. The big idea between existing and new buildings was to lift the ground plane of any physical impediments, to free it up as a sort of an idea of student gateways, freedom of movement, biphilic connections with nature and through the precinct. So you can sort of see an undercut through the whole precinct. You've got seating and gardens and nature that actually flows into places like the marketplace. Again, a very raw materiality, using less materials, materials to the lower levels to create that connection and urban environment. Equally, we also have explored horizontal connections, so people can enter on any level and go right to the precinct without using lifts. And the integration of new stairs, so again, we've got these new vertical connections without using lifts throughout the precinct. From Swansea Street, you can see the Student Pavilion. This is like a real hangout for students. It's got lots of balconies surrounding the water facing north, open sets of stairs, and a rooftop edible garden for students to grow and eat their own food, and the student kitchen to the north. In the centre is a large amphitheatre, one of the main sort of aspects of the precinct, surrounded by trees which are growing, will grow in the future. And this idea of embedding cultural objects again as a social thing from previous buildings into the new buildings was a really formative part of the project. The student building has really light, high floor-to-floor ceilings, less materials, quite raw materials, and natural materials like cork and timber, with the idea about, again, accentuating the connections with outside. These bridge links are also landscaped. They're also kind of additions to the amphitheatre, so you can see over the amphitheatre to the south. And the urban connections are really clear. There's wayfinding right through to the heritage buildings to the south, so students have a feeling of knowing how to get around the precinct without relying on other methods. Retail was put in spots that are connected to sort of, again, student balconies, places where people can hang, again surrounded by nature and connection with each other. Embedded objects, again, right around the precinct, again, this connection with social sustainability rather than systemic sustainability, so again, memory, cultural and indigenous. And these are around the sort of embedded, softer spaces like the large performance spaces within the arts and cultural building. Again, you can sort of see the harder and rawer edge of a lot of the circulation systems within the arts and cultural building, for instance, the high floors and no ceilings. And again, spaces inside can flip between theatre bars and students' informal spaces or foyer spaces and soft meeting places. The central amphitheatre, again, is a large gathering space for social events.
So in terms of the overall precinct sustainability strategy, as James mentioned, we've got 2 new builds which are going to be 6-star Green Star, and we've got 4 refurbished buildings which are going to achieve 5-star equivalent self-assessed. We also have the medium-term future Murray building, which is also part of the precinct but not delivered in the first stage. We have a central thermal plant which is using 100% carbon offset power through University's power purchasing agreement, and which has been future-proofed for heat pumps to go all electric, and there's also provision for PV in the future as well. And the other precinct-wide strategy is the water capture and storage. So we're able to achieve 39% reduction in potable water use through rainwater and stormwater capture on site and reuse within the precinct. So some of the buildings have storage tanks in them. There's also the ground stormwater tank. The precinct, as we've discussed, is student-centred, so all service and delivery activities are contained within the perimeter of the precinct. So we've got centralised servicing strategies for waste and also for retail. So all retail deliveries are contained at the main entry of the site. Waste and some service vehicles are able to come further in using Monash Road and Porter's Lane to the Arts and Cultural Building, where we've got our central waste hub, which deals with all streams of waste, including organics, has a biodigester and a compactor to reduce frequency of pickups, and other service and maintenance vehicles are kept to the perimeter of the site as well, with only occasional access. That's a minute.